The Russian 1895 has three variants: the infantry, sniper and trench. The infantry and sniper have the same stats to one another and are generally suited to medium to long range engagements, whereas the trench variant is the complete opposite and is best suited to close quarters situations. The trench variant is unlocked at Scout rank 1. That's the second best rounds per minute of any of the other sniper rifles, coming in at 124. Because of this, it's best suited to extreme close range engagements. It has a nice hipfire to help with this, and I found myself being able to ADS and hipfire at enemies when I've been caught off guard. An important thing to note is that, and this is for the trench variant only, it has different damage multipliers. So the headshot and upper body are the same as any other sniper, with the headshot being 1.8 times and the upper body being 1 times. However, this is where it differs. The lower body and upper arms is 0.93 times more damage, so it's better than all the other snipers. And the legs and forearms are 0.93 as well, and once again this is better than the other damage multipliers on different snipers. Due to this and multiple other things with the trench variant, it has no sweet spot. So it does 75 damage between 0 and 40 meters, and that begins to drop off at 41 meters down to 80, where it then does a flat 40 damage. So as you can see here, it's really packs a punch in that sort of up in the objective, going building to building is where you want to be using this weapon. The infantry variant is unlocked at Scout rank 3, and it's just your standard iron sight rifle. It's similar to other rifles, give or take a 10 meter sweet spot. It still packs a punch, but it's just like any other iron sighted infantry rifle. The sniper variant is unlocked at Scout rank 0, and due to its sweet spot, it's best suited to like medium range sniping. If you did want to go for those longer range shots, I recommend, as always, the Cuba 98. Now I shan't bore you with all the stats, just the ones that will help you decide if you want to use this weapon. The infantry and sniper variant both have a rounds per minute of 56. This puts it in the middle of all the snipers. In this 56 rounds per minute, there's like several different snipers that have similar or the same rounds per minute. So it's kind of bang in the middle of all these similar snipers, where the only difference being like a sweet spot by like give or take 10 meters. But it does have one of the highest bullet travel speeds, coming in at 820 milliseconds, and that's only bested by the Gua 98. So even though it's in the middle of all these snipers, it does still have a very good bullet travel speed to help you hit those longer range shots. The infantry and sniper both have the same sweet spot between 60 and 100 meters. This is where it will do a flat 100% damage and one shot the enemy. Obviously either side of that it does drop off, as you can see on the graph. This is the setup that I was running, and you can have a play around with it, see what you think, and let me know in the comments. But for the secondary, I was running the number 3 revolver, but then I did later on switch to the Bodio 1889 as it had better damage and rate of fire. For the gadgets, as always, I go flare gun. Helps both myself with spotting enemies, but also my team, and that's what we want in Battlefield. And every now and then I'll switch between the K bullets or the trip mine HE. I use the K bullets if there's like enemy vehicles about that keep pressing us, and I know I won't be able to like destroy them really unless I get lucky, but it's more just to harass them, maybe damage some key components on that vehicle, just be annoying to them, to stop them being able to put too much pressure on my team, and trying to help everybody out. And then the trip mine HE is if I'm sort of setting up somewhere, or I'm on an infantry map that's got like a high traffic area, I'll put those mines up, maybe catch a couple of people out that aren't looking, and get a couple of easy and kind of cheap kills. For the grenade, I always go smoke, as it just helps me move around the map and I can block enemy lines of sight. So if I get into a sniping match or I get pinned down, just being able to throw that smoke grenade out in front of me, block the enemy's line of sight, I can then retreat, get into a better position and re-engage that fight and hopefully win it. For the specializations, I went with the quick unspot, so this decreases your time spotted by 2 seconds. Very useful. I do find sometimes as a sniper, especially with a sniper glint, you do attract a lot of attention, and with that you can get spotted. So just being less time on the map, it's useful, and it helps in the end. Awareness is another one I was running, so enemies spotted but you remain spotted 25% longer. And this is what I always do, you probably see it in this clip, and this is what I recommend you guys do. Just when you're aiming down sight looking for a target to shoot at, just make sure you spot in a way. Even if you can't get the shot on the enemy, just give them a spot, as it will help your team kind of get an idea, or anybody that's looking at the map, get an idea of where the enemy are, and you can get assists and points from that. The next perk, or specialization, sorry, is cover, and it just reduces suppression by 20%, I think it is, or 25%. And once again, being a recon or a scout, you get shot at a lot by enemies, especially with like LMGs and stuff. So just reducing that suppression, can help you get a shot off. But I found it useful sometimes, and then other times it didn't seem to make a difference. So that's give or take. And then I also use Slink, so it gives you quite a footsteps, this specialization does. And I found it useful running it with the Trench variant, as when you're in and around the objectives and just generally being close to enemies, obviously, you've probably heard it, your footsteps and enemy footsteps, there's a lot of sound to them and a lot of weight. So just having quieter footsteps allows you to, hopefully move around, sneak up on the enemies, and get the drop on them before they can hear you. And the specialization I didn't have unlocked at the time, but I would also switch to, is inconspicuous. So when stationary or moving slowly, you remain unspotted by flares. Also useful as a recon, as sometimes you post up in a building and a flare comes over, or you're in and around an objective. It just helps you remain off the map, so you can get those sneaky kills off, get the drop on the enemies, and it just helps you staying alive longer. Just some final tips for the Russian 1895. Now, this weapon can be used in many different setups, and it can be used effectively across most engagement ranges. Obviously with the Trench variant, you want it close range, building a building, obviously it's in the name, in the trenches, on the objective. Due to its high RPM, it can hold its own in these situations, and it is a fun weapon to use. I felt a bit like a Midwestern cowboy with it. I don't know why, maybe it's the leather action to it, but it was just fun, just like run into a building and just hit firing enemies, and just like it was just a fun experience, and just that alone I recommend giving it a go. I did find, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, you still get beat by shotguns, definitely shotguns, just because they're obviously one hit kill potential in those ranges. That's what they've been like specifically designed for. And also the high rate of fire SMGs, most of the time you will get beaten out by those kind of weapons, but it is fun when you get the drop on them. And even if you do get caught out, you still take down the enemy. It feels really good and satisfying using this weapon. Obviously you want to keep within that close range. A couple of times I shot enemies at a distance, and I regretted it instantly, because they had these like semi-auto, medic weapons, or weapons more suited to those kind of engagement distances, and I either lost out or had to retreat. So definitely want to use it for its sort of intended range. Now, if I had to pick between the infantry and sniper variant, I'd personally go for the sniper. This is just due to where the sweet spot is, and the bullet travel speed makes the Russian 1885 a really solid pick for like medium to medium long range sniping. And the scope I find just helps me hit those targets on the upper end of that sweet spot. Obviously, if you find yourself really good with the infantry variant, then go for that. But with the obviously not having a sight, the sniper I found just personally edges it out, like I said, due to the sweet spot and the travel speed. And if I wanted to be up close to the enemy, front of the action, I'd probably go for the Trench variant and just play it to the strengths of that weapon. Obviously there are times where you get caught out in the open and you do lose out, but most of the time the Trench variant can sort of satisfy and fulfill that close range engagement, where the infantry variant, due to its slower rounds per minute, just loses out on get more engagements I found. And then obviously the sniper variant, like I see in these clips, I was able to harass enemies at a good distance and medium range distance, and just be within that sweet spot range, and just do sort of maximum damage with this weapon. So what are your thoughts on the Russian 1895? Let me know in the comments down below. You're gonna give it a go. Have you used it? Any tips you'd give to others when using this weapon? Make sure to leave it down in the comments below. If you want to see more videos like this, as well as tips and tricks, guides, weapon breakdowns and more across Battlefield 1 and all the other Battlefield games, make sure to leave a subscribe. And yeah, until the next one, have a good one.